Hey guys, it's Chad Rook from War for the Planet of the Apes, and you are listening to Mark Who 42.
This is Juan Sanmiguel in Orlando for Mark Who 42. Mark is couldn't make it, and neither could Vicky. They're taking care of some life challenges, but we're going to try to give you guys an interesting show today. And I've got two guests here.
Hey, I'm Trish also known in various net spaces as Triffid.
And I'm Paul Weimer. I've been on the show before. I'm better known as Prince Justin from Minnesota, or in Minnesota. That's complicated.
As everything, a lot of things are complicated in Minnesota, unfortunately. But if it means anything, some of us who are living in the heart of resistance in our various states are cheering you on, and hopefully it all works out. Well, what we're going to be talking about is PLUR1BUS. Am I pronouncing it right? I'm not good on my Latin, unfortunately enough. I mean,
I've just been saying pluribus as if
pluribus.
the one were an I.
Yeah.
PLUR1BUS. Okay.
PLUR1BUS.
So we're gonna talk about the show. I mean, here's the first question I got about with you two. I think I was very slow on the uptake on the show. I only noticed it on social media, and I think maybe even posts from both of you on Blue Sky. I mean, where did you guys hear about the show? As I said, I heard from social media.
I had gotten Apple TV this summer for Murderbot, the Murderbot TV show, but I don't actually watch a lot of TV. I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I don't watch a lot of TV. But I did see a lot of buzz on some of my Discord groups, actually, a little bit on Blue Sky, but specifically a lot on some Discord groups about Pluribus. And I think I started watching after the second or third episode, caught up in a hurry, and then waited for the drop like everybody else.
Yeah. Like I also have Apple TV. I got email from Apple TV saying new show Pluribus, and then I started seeing a couple people on social media mentioning it in various Discords and on Blue Sky, and I thought, well, what the heck is this? And then it was like a couple episodes in. It's like I think I better get on this bandwagon and see what it's all about, because especially people kept saying, don't get spoiled, don't listen to what the plot is, just go in for it. And so I didn't want to get spoiled, and I'm glad I didn't, because I would have missed that discovery of the first couple episodes along with everybody else.
Okay. Well, full disclosure, so I saw all you nice people online talking about it, and then I finally got to see it on just as my Christmas break started. So just about the third week. Yeah, actually the weekend before Christmas, I just saw all the episodes that were available and checked it out. And I think I would hear a bit in there, but I didn't get anything. I mean, I knew something weird, kind of end of the world was happening, but I didn't get the gist of it. I knew that there was going to be a fantasy writer, although everybody kept, at least I don't know if it was on any of your posts, but a lot of people are saying she's a romantasy writer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I could see that, but I would have called her a generic fantasy writer.
No. Based on what we see of her work and what she writes and all that, she's definitely a romantasy writer, but that's not a denigration. She clearly sells a lot and is doing very well for herself. We're talking, Cassandra Clare levels of or higher levels of writing. And it's like, because on one of the Discords I'm on, there was a whole running joke about why doesn't she go to world cons anymore, and coming up with all these elaborate ideas like, oh yes, she got into a pissing match with Ursula Vernon, or or this puppy got upset at her or what have you. So we came up with all these reasons like why she isn't in fandom. And I mean, her personality in the show kind of makes that clear, but it's like yes, she's romantasy, but she's been adopted by the science fiction writers community as quote, one of our own.
I read somewhere that Vince Gilligan said that he made her a romantasy writer to be the person who would be least able to deal with the crisis. But in fact, I know a lot of romantasy writers do a hell of a lot of research on stuff and know how to find things out and know how to think logically. And so I mean, just thinking of all the research on textiles that say Natania Barron does, or other people like that. It's a denigration that is undeserved because a lot of romantasy writers do in fact know about a lot of things and how to do research on things.
Agreed. But then again, I just realized we might have gotten ahead of ourselves, or at least ahead about my plan. Let's go and talk about what the plot is, and I'll do a quick plot breakdown. You guys can fill any holes that I missed or add any of your own observations. So we talked about the main character, Carol. I want to get her name, Carol Sturka. Who we say is a romantasy writer. She and her partner Helen are getting off a book tour, and we get to see a book tour. Although before that, we see something weird. We received an alien transmission, which turns out to be a DNA code, and some scientists try to put research and put that DNA code together and try to produce it, and then something weird happens at the lab, which John Coxon says can't happen. I think that's what he said in his latest Octothorpe.
Yeah, I listened to that too. It's like controls would be better than that, but human nature, John, human nature.
Yeah,
so anyway,
I mean, it's not supposed to happen for sure, but human nature being human nature, I am perfectly willing to suspend disbelief and accept that the alien message RNA code would get out into the world.
Anyway, so it does get into the world, and everybody except a few people become part of this hive mind and lose their individuality. And Carol is not having of it, and unfortunately, not but some people also get killed during this transition, which was done on the quick because military forces around the world were probably discovering it and were about to put an end to it or try to counteract it. So one of the casualties was Helen, and she died, and then it's a hive mind. Everybody is now part of the same mind. Everybody's individuality is crushed under. I mean, I'm not even clear if any of these people know what their old selves were. I mean, that's a question we can say for when we talk about what we think where the show is going to go. And Carol tries to contact other people who have been immune to this conversion, and some of it doesn't go very well. And some of the people, well, one person in particular, and we can get that into, is making questionable decisions of taking advantage of this situation on their own, which is quite morally questionable. But there is some people, there's at least one other person who takes Carol's lead and at least wants to tries to remedy the problem. Although the only thing that bugs me is that Carol kind of puts it in of putting the things back the way they were, and I don't know if we can ever get back to the status quo after this. But that again, we can talk about that when we're talking about what we think the show is going to in the future. You guys got anything more to say about the plot in general?
Before we jump into that, I just want to say that one more reason that I wanted to watch this show when I started hearing about it was that it's the concept of Vince Gilligan, who is responsible for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And I watched most of Breaking Bad. I mean, I intermittently missed a few episodes here and there, but from beginning to end. And I watched several seasons of Better Call Saul and thought it was really good, but then I quit cable and didn't get around to watching the final seasons of that. But he's an extremely good, interesting writer with who seeds a lot of things through early parts that pay off in later episodes. And I also very much liked Rhea Seehorn, Rhea, who was one of the uh, uh, main actors in Better Call Saul and is the protagonist in this show. So I certainly wanted to give it a shot given the track history of the showrunner.
Yeah, given the pedigree of the showrunner and what he's done before. I have not watched much of Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, but what I've seen I've liked, and I thought Rhea Seehorn was what is a good actor, so I could see how like he decided to give her a vehicle of her own and go into a science fiction direction. So yeah, that was just more incentive for me to give this a try.
Yeah, my only thing with I knew of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but in both cases I'm kind of weird. If I don't get on the ground floor, it's very difficult. I mean, now with streaming, it's a little bit easier. Like last year I had to see all of Fallout because the last episode got a Hugo nomination, so I had to, watch that so I could evaluate. And the same thing with The Last of Us. Although I kind of voted The Last of Us Part 2 down because all I saw was, oh God, it's more zombies. Um, and Breaking Bad, it sounded interesting, but it also sounded kind of, this is me. I hear it's a wonderful show, but it sounded kind of depressing. And same with Better Call Saul. But of course, we're all fans of,
absolutely,
the X-Files and the Lone Gunman, where he where he was, one of the I think he got elevated to a producer and definitely wrote a lot of episodes on that. I can't, I've checked out some of the episodes. I mean, one episode, Paper Hearts, which dealt with Mulder's sister, if I recall correctly, was pretty good. But he's established pedigree and, he's making good shows. So, again, because of people like you, I get decided, okay, let's get in on a show. And to be honest, the show is not that long. I think the first and the last episode, it's 9 episodes, are the longest, but I think all the middle episodes, I don't think go back over 40 minutes that much. But at least that was my impression because I went through them real fast. I went through episodes 1 through 8. To me, it was rather quickly. I mean, it just was a lazy afternoon for better or for worse. I think the pacing was pretty good and it just kind of went along. Any other observations overall on the show?
I do find it interesting that it does take advantage of the world of streaming and not having a set length of time for episodes, and there's variability. It's something being an old like the two of you, I'm still trying to get used to this fact that shows don't always have to be exactly 30 or 60 minutes long. So it's like it sometimes be a little off. Like, there's 24 minutes left in the show. Oh, there's only 4 minutes left in the show. But it shows that he definitely has learned to fill the time or use the right amount of time to tell the story rather than trying to squeeze it artificially into a particular time slot.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of padding these days, and these days in streaming. I mean, obviously, you don't have to worry about it, and if you don't have to, making it tight, to keep it under a time slot like you needed to on broadcast TV. So yeah, that's kind of fun. So listen, we got some time. So let's talk about Carol. We already described her pretty much. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that somebody wrote a story. Ursula Vernon, Ursula Vernon, Ursula. I can't imagine starting trouble with anybody. I mean, the only person I think she wanted to do something nasty to was Dave McCarty, who unfortunately did something unfortunate at China Worldcon that we won't go into detail here, only for time reasons. But I could, I guess I'd be interested in like the side fanfic of her, going to a Worldcon and then getting set off, put off by
but
somebody by Della Rose.
but I mean, let's look at Rhea as a personality. She is extremely abrasive. I mean,
Wait, you mean
Carol.
not Rhea, that's the actress.
Yeah, Carol. Yeah. Carol
Okay.
as a character is extremely abrasive. So I could see how Carol as a character could eventually put off somebody even as relatively nice and sweet as Ursula and put her into Dave McCarty territory.
I don't know. I can't say. I mean, yes, she's abrasive, but I mean, she seems, yeah, and she has issues. I mean, one of the big jokes is that she can't operate her car by herself because she's got a drinking monitor, so she was busted on a DUI. Um,
Right.
Right.
Before the show started. Um, and so, she's dealing with that issue, and she does go kind of on a early on in the show. She does go through a bender, I think, and when dealing with everything that's going on.
And
Uh,
the show does show her struggling with her addiction and problems and not always successfully. It's nice that it's not a smooth arc of, oh yes, I'm going to stop drinking now. It's clear that she has a problem, but the show is subtle in telling these things and letting you figure these things out, which I really appreciate, but rather than just having it all laid out and hit you over the head with it. Like the monitor in the car. It's like it's not brought it's not meant, it's not said anywhere in dialogue or anything. We just I looked at that when it showed up and it took a minute, took a minute. It's like, oh, why is she's not in a rental car? That's her car and she's home. Oh, she has a drinking problem. It's really good storytelling to use visual cues like that to be able to propel the story forward. But
yeah, I mean, the thing is,
Oh yeah, it's absolutely
no, you go,
absolutely a
Trish.
show you need to sorry. It's absolutely a show that you need to watch while you're watching it and not, have it on while you're folding laundry or playing
yes.
games on your phone or anything. You need to be watching as you listen to the rather sparse dialogue. A lot of it is told visually.
Yeah, and there's episodes where I mean, like what's it called? The Gap episode, there's not a lot of dialogue at all in an episode. That is all visual storytelling as we watch Menusos travel towards America. I have to tell you, I tell you something funny about the episode before then when Menusos is mapping out his trip to America. I was like practically jumping him down. Oh my God, he's got a Darien Gap problem. And then the next episode is called The Gap. It's like, thank you. I feel justified.
Well, yeah, I mean, as somebody who's a little bit familiar with the South American geography, I was wondering how he was going to get to the States. I mean, that was a challenge. I gotta say, I did know about the kind of alcohol monitor. Unfortunately, there was a story years and years ago, in Florida about some guy who did get one of those monitors put on his car, and what he did was he got one of his children to sit on his lap and blow in for him
Oh,
when and unfortunately,
Yeah.
this was a long time ago, and this did not go well. Then, to be fair, now that I think about it, I'm not even sure. It's unfortunately I was listening to a lot of talk radio at the time, and that seemed like good fodder for comment, as it were. Um, yeah, well, she's abrasive, but the thing is, abrasiveness doesn't bother me. I'm a Harlan Ellison fan, although Harlan
yes.
was not
We've
just
discussed that
abrasive,
before.
but he was also. But it turns out, I mean, Joe Straczynski put this in detail in The Last Dangerous Visions, that he was dealing with undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which is one thing that Carol does not have. And she seems to deal well with fans pretty good. I mean, I could see an autograph line like that, particularly people bringing in their homemade props to get signed. I think that was a pretty good, realistic, um,
Mhm.
signing session at a bookstore. Um, and I've seen quite a few of those. I mean, um, oh God, there was a fantasy writer, the one who does. I think she's the one who did the radio show, and the thing is, she goes under a pseudonym and she actually puts on a wig, when she does the signing. And I wish I could remember where it was, but it it was just fun. I mean, the thing is, unfortunately, we don't get that much in the South, or they were definitely in Florida. It's very rare we get somebody big there. I mean, ICFA brings in a lot of science fiction writers, but that's about it. Oh, one thing that I we didn't mention. I mean, I like the setting. I kind of like it. They decided to go somewhere different, so we went with
What
Arizona.
well, no, it's
Well,
Albuquerque.
Oh,
So
that's
Albuquerque, New
so
Mexico.
it's yeah, that's as
that's
follows
home
Breaking Bad.
territory for Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So for Vince Gilligan, it's not going outside the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, for
Oh,
major TV shows, usually don't get set in the middle of deserts, but
I do
yeah,
like the
but
scenery. It's like every time we get to see like where
mhm.
Albuquerque is and we'll see those mountains. I mean, I was even saying to Ursula Vernon online, now I can see why you went out there. Why I want to go visit Albuquerque because it's beautiful out there.
Mhm.
I need to go to Albuquerque because I want to get to Pismo Beach.
I get that
And if you don't
reference.
get that joke, you're a sad person. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that. And if you're going to write hate mail, you will be graded. But no, the thing is, as I said, unfortunately, I'm unfamiliar. I think maybe in the back of my head, I knew that Vince had set his earlier series in the American Southwest, but it was kind of news to me. And Arizona probably popped into my head because one of my uncles used to live there, and I think his kids still do live there. So I guess saw it in the big chunk of the American Southwest. But no, it just kind of looks to me. I'm kind of curious. Wait, you guys might know this better than I do. Is that a reasonable size home, or or did Carol need her money?
She's doing well. She's
She's doing
doing
well.
very well
Okay,
for herself. I mean, the interior, the exterior, yeah,
Very well.
she's she clearly is a successful with a capital S romantasy author, and that's what we're meant to take.
yeah, okay.
Right. I don't think it would cost as much to have a home like that in Albuquerque as it would to cost to have one in LA, or certainly not in New York City or something.
Or
But
Florida.
yeah, she's got, and she's taking random ice trips to ice
I
hotels in
Yeah,
Scandinavia, and without even really doing any research to know what Helen is getting her into. So she's very comfortable with her book money, unlike most authors.
Well, actually, you just brought me on a. I don't know if it's the Ice Hotel, which was I think in episode 2 or 3. I wonder if they had to build that set or they actually went to the Ice Hotel because
it
I
might
don't
be
know.
cheap. It probably been cheaper to go to the ice hotel than try to build that set. I mean, because
Quite
because
possibly.
if they're doing principal filming in Los Angeles or Albuquerque, that's a lot of refrigeration needs to make a lot of ice, even for a room. So I think it would be cheaper just to film it in the ice hotel.
Okay.
It does might require some research, but yeah, I think it'd be cheaper to actually just go to the ice hotel. And hey, expense a trip to the ice hotel.
I don't know if I'd want to go to an ice hotel. I mean, I think I inherited my mother's aversion to cold. But anyway,
And that's
so
why Juan never came to Minneapolis in the winter. The end.
Virginia was too cold for me in the winter. So anyway,
Oh my.
Oh, dear.
the only
Yep.
thing is the snow doesn't stick, although I did have an embarrassing incident of slipping. Anyway,
Mhm.
so we're rounding up our first half. I think we're going to go when we come back. We're going to talk a little bit more about our other characters. Carol is not alone in this situation. We're going to talk about them, and we're also going to probably talk about what we expect in the future of the show and anything that also interests us about the show. So Wait for us to come back on Marku 42 Does PLUR1BUS.
Don't go away. Don't go away. We'll be back with more Marku 42 after this.
Hello, geeks and geekettes. I'm Steve Megatron, and if you're looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of geeky topics, then check out Altered Geek. Altered Geek covers superheroes, Star Trek, pop culture, comics, film, television, animation, gaming, tech, and more. So check out Altered Geek and get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio, and the Geekcast Radio Network.
Get ready for the ultimate geek experience right here in the Sunshine State. Florida Geek Scene presents a full calendar of events and conventions. From anime to horror, we've got it all. Meet your favorite stars, find rare collectibles, and immerse yourself in your passions. Experience the thrill of cosplay and witness amazing live performances. Stay up to date with the latest news and reviews all across Florida. Florida Geek Scene, where pop culture happens. Visit us online for more. Don't miss out on the fun. Join us at Florida Geek Scene. FloridaGeekScene.com.
You are listening to Marku 42's Universe.
Welcome back to Marku 42 as we continue our discussion with PLUR1BUS with Paul Weimer and Trish M. And we want to finish up on Carol. Any more thoughts on Carol? I think she's trying to do her best. Sometimes her anger sometimes gets in the way. I mean, I think it was a mistake when she asked to talk to all the other resistance, the people who did not come under. She only wanted to talk to those who could only speak English, because I guess she didn't want to deal or have to deal with translation. Which,
well, she didn't
Well,
trust.
not just that, she
it,
doesn't trust the others, the joined people, to not interfere somehow, or she wants to strategize, and she's afraid she can't do that with them listening in on how Carol is going to try and save the world or whatever.
Oh, that's a good thing. I didn't think about that.
And she had not yet figured out that they generally can't lie, so she was afraid of them, deliberately changing the translation.
Now, Paul, you said generally can't lie. I thought they couldn't lie full stop. Is there something
They've
gotten quite good at lying by omission and easily misinterpretable statements. So they don't lie directly, but they make it awfully easy for Carol to make some comfortable assumptions that she should not have made. She assumed that because she wasn't going to give consent to have them take a spinal sample, that she would be safe from being forcibly converted. But she forgot that she had frozen eggs in a lab somewhere that could be used to
make stem cells.
Yeah, she was one of the people who were immune to the original RNA virus, and they want to convert everybody, not including the 11 people who are left in the world that didn't either die or get converted. And so she was frightened for a while until she realized that they didn't tell lies. And then they told her, we would never take a spinal sample, do something invasive like take a spinal sample from you without your consent. And so she thought she was safe. She'd never be turned. She could just live her sad life of luxury and whatever. And it was only after the penny finally dropped and she realized they've been working this whole time this whole time of her month of luxurious vacation stuff with Zosha, that they had been working all along on what they think of as a cure for her deficiency and what she thinks of as her independence and selfhood and life. And there are other similar things, I assume.
Trish, you gave me a great segue. So let's talk about Sosha, who is the representative of the hive mind that Carol gets to represent, who is picked because I guess she looks like Carol's hero if he was a she, if I'm correct in saying that. Any initial thoughts on Sosha?
Well, her existence kind of shows the cleverness, as it were, even though there are very giant limitations of the hive mind, and like picking her as the representative because she's everything that Carol might want.
In a romantic partner.
In a new romantic partner to replace Helen, because she is the female embodiment of a female version of her hero. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can read the allegory of this show as, and Vince Gilligan has said it's not about LLMs, but there is a lot of lack of creativity in this hive mind. But that was a bit of inspired casting on their choice to pick Zosha to be their representative to Carol, because it plays to Carol's weaknesses.
Yeah, I think it's important to mention Carol's queerness, because as is revealed later in the show, and I hate to spoil things, but it's very, very important to her character that when she was young, her mother sent her off to one of those Christian conversion camps to cure the gay from her or whatever. Yeah. And they were all smiling and telling her that everything they were doing was for her own good, while basically, at least emotionally torturing her. I don't know what else they did to her. But then when the event happens and everyone is trying to get her to join them and telling her, you'll feel so much better when you just come through to our side and accept us and everything will be great, then this is giving her severe flashbacks to when they were trying to forcibly convert her from being gay to being straight norm heterosexual.
That never occurred to me that the similarity, I mean, obviously conversion camps are wrong. I mean, I say that with sincerity, but I didn't consider that the atmosphere of that conversion camp would give off the same vibes as the others, which is the general name for the hive mind. And also, guys, we always do spoilers. I mean, if we're doing a show, we're going to spoil the crap out of it.
So yes, that on the other hand is a miscalculation on the part of the others. They didn't quite comprehend that a forcible conversion would just basically align with, what happened with Carol in her youth, and not realize the implications of that, and realize why she would be so dead set against joining the happy cult.
Right. She doesn't trust people who smile all the time and tell her they are happy, and she will too once she changes her mind and becomes one of them. Paul had started to talk about LLMs and Vince Gilligan, and I do think it's important that we emphasize in this hive mind, to me, there seems to be an engineering set of mind in that they have all the people with all the knowledge and that they can fix problems that someone already knows how to solve. And that's how they're working on the giant space transmitter to transmit the happy virus on the happy, identity erasing virus that send it on to other planets. But what they don't seem to have is any spark of creativity. As far as I can tell, they say they're all thrilled that Carol's writing a new book, because none of the hive mind is able to produce new art, new music, as far as I know. And I doubt they're able to do a lot of scientific research either, other than basic trial and error. Edison trying, 4,000 chemicals before he came up with the light bulb, the filament that would work. That's one thing that I'm surprised Carol hasn't been hitting harder when she talks, but maybe it hasn't really come through to her yet. Yeah, it's very obvious to me that part of the dreadfulness of this hive mind is that once you join the hive, your selfhood is gone and new ideas come from individuality, individual creativity. And so there's none of that anymore. So that's one of the reasons that Carol is right to fight this hive mind conversion.
They cannot wander. They cannot wander. They can only just do things. And and they don't even seem to understand in many cases how art and creativity works. We can talk briefly about Diabate. Diabate is one of the other characters, and he's playing up as a playboy in this world where he's one of the 11 unconverted people. I mean, he has Air Force One at his beck and call. We meet him later on, and he's in Vegas, and he's role-playing himself as James Bond with a supporting cast in the background scene. He's got somebody playing Bolt Blofeld, and he wins the card game, and he admonishes the guy because the other guy breaks out of character because they don't really understand that this is a role-playing game that Diabate is doing. They don't get it. They're kind of going through the motions in a very mechanical way. It kind of shows the limitations. There's just no creative spark there. They would never come up with that on their own. It's like, and Diabate's attempts to try to get them to play this game are forced at best. And I would like to see more from his point of view.
Well, I mean, the sad thing about Diabate, it's sad. I mean, because this is what he comes up with. I mean, he just seems to want to fulfill himself with like, very shallowistic. I mean, the thing is, there are no challenge. I mean, they will do anything to keep. They seem to want to keep people happy, and will do. And also, it is kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody has considered the idea of consent. When it comes, because they will say yes to anything. I mean, actually, it's kind of interesting because Carol wanted, Diabate wanted Sosha to come with him back to Las Vegas, and Carol just felt bad because she knew that he's essentially going to treat her like a sex doll, for lack of a better word for it, and she just doesn't see right. And also, essentially, it would be kind of weird, and Carol does this too with Zosha in the penultimate and last episode, that if you're intimate with one, you're intimate with everybody on Earth at the same time, and they seem to perceive that you're dealing with the others are a group. So that is kind of odd when you think about it, and again, that comes into the issues of consent.
Right. Well, I think consent is the main issue, one of the main issues in this whole series. Everyone who they could was forcibly converted into being, one of the others, one of the joined people, one of PLUR1BUS. And lots of people died when they did that. And they knew it was going to kill many, many people when they did it. And they say, sorry, we got rushed because of the military, so we had to kill all these people. But they did. They kill. It's a fundamental hypocrisy that, they won't so much as pick an apple off a tree because that, is killing the apple. But they were just fine with the collateral damage of 1/10 of the world's population, if I recall correctly, when they made their big move to convert everybody. And so that's the major issue of consent in the series, but also individual actions. All of the others desperately want to please the few individuals who are left and want to fulfill their every wish. And basically, they cannot say no when asked to please someone. And so, of course, when Diabate wants to have sex with any of the others, they say yes. And that means, by definition, they can't give consent because they have to say yes to everything. And I think Carol kind of forgets about that when she's been spending a lot of time with Zosha, talking with her, and she just seems to kind of forget. She's so lonely, and she just allows herself to forget that Zosha is not an individual anymore. And that I think that's why she goes off on this romantic dream vacation, month-long, however it is, traveling the world and stuff. And she has forgotten the person who was Zosha didn't consent to this relationship. Of course, Zosha / the group are going to say yes and, be very happy when Carol initiates sex, but it's much more self-deceptive, I think, and not nearly as squicky as Diabate's treatment of people, but it's just as much a violation of consent, I think.
I think Trish basically says all on the topic of consent and the lack thereof throughout the show. It's a running theme, and Carol and Diabate are guilty of violating consent. Can you violate consent on a hive mind that can't give it? I still think yes.
Trish, you were talking about Carol forgetting, that Zosha was part, or at least the penultimate episode was called The Charm Offensive, which made me wonder, was Carol trying to tap in for information, or was she, or who was working the Charm Offensive? Was it Carol or the others, the hive mind, trying to persuade? Who was performing the Charm Offensive?
I think that was a neat twist, and I did think at first that it was Carol doing the Charm Offensive, but later on I realized that the others had been charming her all this time, giving her delightful treats and fantasies so that she would not be thinking about what was really happening, which is them working on their goals of converting all the unconverted and sending out a new message.
There's one more major character we haven't talked about is Manosos, who apparently comes from the old country in my well, he's supposedly a Colombian living in Paraguay. At least that's what it says in Wiki. And I think that was confirmed by Arturo, one of our online friends, who said he was talking with a Colombian accent. And shame on me for not realizing it, although I probably would have said he just sounds like my relatives. No disrespect there. So Manosos has been resisting, and he's been isolating himself in a storage facility and not even wanting to talk to the others. But he does get, Carol puts out videotapes trying to convince the other people not converted to try to put up some type of resistance. And Manosos, who's living in Paraguay, to try to get to Albuquerque, which is obviously a challenge. I mean, even though he goes on car part of the way and then on foot, the others are willing to help him, but he has a severe distrust, even more than Carol does, that he wants nothing to do with him. And he does make it up to Carol, and of course, Carol is a little bit resistant, or at least has the charm offensive seems to be affecting Carol. And he actually might have a solution because of his radio research, and might have discovered the frequency that they all work on, their hive mind work on. I mean, I like it. He's got a cause. I mean, he's willing to do whatever it takes, and he wants to do it on his own, or at least he doesn't really have to be fair, he does have a choice, but at the same time, he's not comfortable. I mean, I think he'd rather work with another unconverted.
Yeah, he's much more militant about things than what Carol turns out to be. Carol starts as militant, gets worn down, then has that isolation period, which really wears her down. But Manosos has been alone from the beginning.
But he's used to being alone, I feel like. He seems like a lonely person all his life anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a job as the manager of a storage facility.
So
That's not a people person kind of job.
Yeah. But if he cares enough about his relationships, like when his converted mother comes in, it's like, you're not my mother. It's like, it kind of shows that it's like, as misanthropic as he can be, it's like he's annoyed that they would even try to pretend in this way, because it's an insult to his very prickly relationship with his mother.
I think he has an even clearer vision than Carol in some ways. You know, he tells the others, you can't give me anything because everything that you have is stolen. So he's not viewing the others as really even human anymore. They're pod people as far as he's concerned. Carol still hopes that they can be saved and turned back to individuals, but as far as he's concerned, they're all the enemy. He's not afraid to say so either.
Well, in theory, they can be turned back into individuals, because the episode where Carol drugged Zosha with essentially a truth serum, and Zosha admitted that there might be a way to turn it back, but she unfortunately went into cardiac arrest before she told her how to do it.
Right.
But Manosos might have the ability in his research to at least figure out how to interfere with their communication with that.
There might be a way to isolate. One other thing about Manosos is, like, he's so militant, like he doesn't want to steal. He leaves money everywhere. It reminds me of, funny enough, of a Prisoner episode, Many Happy Returns, where the prisoner winds up and he finds the village is deserted, and so he builds a raft and leaves. But he takes a bunch of stuff, but he leaves a note on the counter in the shop. I owe you 964 credits, because that's just the kind of person the prisoner is.
But you guys also brought up something. I mean, when they try to, bring Manoso's mother to, do they have the memories of the people, who've been absorbed, or it doesn't seem like it?
They have the memories of everybody, which is why they keep, because every time they bring up memories of Helen, Carol bristles at that, but they were bringing up memories of Carol from Helen's point of view through Zosha and others.
Interestingly, Helen is dead by this point, so her memories have been uploaded to the group mind before she died.
Right.
Okay.
And Lakshmi's son, Lakshmi is one of the other individuals left whose son got turned into one of the others. Lakshmi's son apparently just plays Lakshmi's son. I mean, the group is using Lakshmi's son's body to play Lakshmi's son to keep her happy. And using his memories, but I don't think his, personality anymore. They've just learned to isolate and a set of memories and use it to puppet somebody, as far as I can tell. That's a season 2 question that is very interesting. If they do find a way to turn people back, are there still individual memories that can be accessed inside each individual brain, or is it all part of some group mind and everybody's going to be all jumbled up or something?
Which I think will bring us back to our last character. I mean, the others themselves. I think we've been talking around them and their relationship with the other characters. Actually, we do find out about their limitations by Carol's whiteboard that she signs up. But also, I mean, when she finds out that they've been drinking this milk supplement, which turns out to be of human corpses, which they did not kill, but it's just people who died of natural causes. And they just
Human-derived protein.
human-derived protein, HDP. But my housemate was kind of surprised that I was listening to John Cena because he knew I wasn't a wrestling fan. And John Cena explains why they had to use the HDP. And, and this was happening in the episode in Vegas. And we find that, obviously they're people pleasers. They have an objective. I mean, but the thing is, as we said, they can't feed themselves or they can't pick a fruit, but they can wait for a fruit. And the thing is, what do we think that, I don't know, this might actually lean into what we expect. What do you think the objective is? Is it to turn everybody into a hive mind and though they could be happy for, for the future or forever and ever, amen? Or is it to kill people off because they'll starve themselves to death because they can't harvest food, they can't create their own food, and essentially they'll starve themselves out, or at least that's Carol theorizes late in the series when she hears the John Cena talk.
I don't know what the objective of whoever created this RNA virus in the first place was, or even if there was an objective or it was just a mistake. As you say, it could be just a plan to depopulate tons of planets of intelligent life, and then whoever created the original thing can come in and harvest or set up shop, on this newly depopulated planet, colonizing each planet. Or, is it just something, maybe someone created a virus that was supposed to ease tensions and make people happy, and it got out of hand, and this is the end result. You don't know, but we do know that it's totally unsustainable. I don't think even, if it gets down to 100,000 people, you're still not going to be able to, in the world, you're still not going to be able to sustain them purely off of windfall. It just doesn't work like that. And so, the end result is that this is a virus that, is happy to kill off its host as long as it can, i.e. all the people in the world, as long as it can make it to the next host, i.e. the next planet.
Right. What is the purpose of a virus? A virus' purpose is to make more copies of itself. So it's my theory that whether it's engineered or what have you, the effect is this virus is beamed by those who are in the virus to other planets, and it's kind of a very much of a die-off situation. That the plan, so much as it is a plan, is for Earth to rapidly build a signal to broadcast this virus to other people, and whatever happens here, it doesn't matter. Humans can die off as long as some other planet picks up the signal and starts the cycle all over again. Carol's fight is basically a fight against a galactic threat in a way, because if this chain is not stopped, this just keep going on forever. Earth beams it to Alpha Centauri. The Alpha Centaurians become hive-minded, go through this die-off cycle, and beam it off to somebody, to Sirius, and so on and on and on forever. So it's a virus. Virus just wants to be virus and make more copies of itself. And its life cycle unfortunately means the destruction of civilizations and a whole intelligent species.
Yep. Now, we end the series with Carol realizing that the hive mind is trying to get at her, and also in order to, for some reason, they give her what she kind of toyed around with, which was an atomic bomb. So she and Manosos are going to work with an atomic bomb in front of her house. So what do we expect now that
Well,
we're here? According to Wiki,
I don't think they're working with the atomic bomb.
well, I
I
think
think
it's deterrence.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
deterrence to keep them from trying to forcibly change her or him. It's like it's basically mutual sword destruction. You do that, I will blow up this bomb, and that will cause lots of damage. So you will not, and that will cause a lot of death. So you're not going to mess with me as long as I hold that trigger.
According to Wiki, they're planning a 4-season run. What do you guys want to see?
Wow.
4. Well, the thing is, it's going to only be 40 episodes. I mean, if they stick to 10 episodes,
yeah, that's true.
unless they go for bonus at the end. So, anything you want to see looked into in the next 3 seasons?
Well, at some point, I think they have to find out how to reverse the procedure, at least for some people, because I desperately want to find out the question of, does an unjoined person turn back into the former person, and do they have their own memories, and do they have the memories that were made while they were part of the joined? I really want to find out the answers to those questions, but if we're lasting 4 seasons, that may well not happen until season 4.
I think maybe next season they will have somebody decant out, and that will be interesting. It might be Zosha, might be somebody else. That would be interesting to see and change the dynamic, because we have the two of them basically against the world. I mean, the rest of the unconverted, I mean, one's already converted, and the others kind of, I mean, can we turn Diabate? I like Diabate as a character because he's so interestingly flawed in a different way than Carol. I would like to see more of him and see him actually get some redemption for his character. And he's clever enough that he can be interesting, but I understand they want to kind of keep this very narrow focus on Carol and on Manusos. But yeah, it's like a character from the hive mind who decants out, or changing that dynamic, of ratcheting up the tension. 4 seasons is like, I think they said, correct me wrong, it's like 10 years till the population collapse, but they've been willing to fast forward in time, so maybe they will fast forward in time, we'll get closer and closer to that time horizon.
Well, that'll be it. Okay. Well, we'll see that when new seasons come out. We got to wrap up. I really appreciate you two coming over. Just real quick, is there anything you guys want to promote before we sign off?
One thing I do a lot during the year is write reviews of various science fiction, fantasy, horror, and other books over at Skiffy and Fanty, skiffyandfanty.com. And I also occasionally blog about speculative fiction stuff over on my own blog, which is whatsthewordnow.blogspot.com.
I write all over the place on the internet at Skippy and Fanty, at Nerds of a Feather, placing any place that will take my pieces. Starting toward the end of this month, February, I will be on Gregory A. Wilson, aka Arvin Elleron's Twitch channel on at least one Sunday a month, running live a D&D game with people including Mur Lafferty and Darcy Little Badger as players, and also somebody else who's also on this call will also be a player.
Right, I'll be there too.
So
Okay.
yes, you'll be able to watch me GM live. My good friend Nicole calls me the GM for all occasions, where I guess I'm going to prove that live in front of everybody month after month.
Right. I'll
Well,
just
we'll
mention, since you've said the other names, Kathleen DeVere will also be on the show.
Thank you.
Well, those
just
are
for
definitely
completeness.
things to check out. I thank you guys for coming on board, and thanks for coming on for Marku 42. And we'll come back soon and talk about something different. For Juan Sanmiguel here in Orlando, I want to thank Trish and Paul for coming on our show. And that's it for this week's Marku 42.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Marku 42. Your hosts, Mark Baumgarten, Vicky Jakubowski, Juan Sanmiguel, and Zion Quiros. If you'd like to leave a comment for us, please email us at marku42.42@gmail.com. Marku 42's Universe is produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. Copyright 2026.